Okay, story this morning. According to the Daily Mail, Gary Neville has formed a pundit army to help fight any further Big Six breakaway plots, with the former United captain setting up a WhatsApp group with pundits from across the media. Not sure how true that bit is. A call has taken place, and another one is due to take place as well between all those involved, with initial plans set to be discussed. Ultimately, I imagine this is all about stopping anything from happening again in terms of the European Super League breakaway plans. We've seen actually the Premier League this week as well, after this weekend, are taking steps to make sure that there are more ways to stop teams from doing it. So I guess to adhere to those rules in the Premier League contracts that they sign anyway, maybe to kind of strengthen them up a little bit. What's your take on this, Darren?
I mean, I'm not quite sure what the initiative is, but at the end of the day, listen, anything to stop owners pretty much doing what they want and kind of discarding obviously history of football clubs, fans' input, then yeah, I'm all against it. Anything that makes it a lot more difficult, because I'm not quite sure how, obviously it's happened this time with the fans really uproar and they've managed to kind of overturn it in 2 days effect, but I think it's anything to stop owners just pretty much going out there and going, you know what, I'm going to make a decision solely on what I want. I think it's a good thing.
Why don't we listen to Simon Jordan? He always has his say on
I can't
things
wait to
like
hear
this. Safe to say, one man that didn't make Gary Neville's WhatsApp group was our prime pundit, Simon Jordan. We think he might be a bit salty about it.
Neville sits there advocating independent regulation. Why? Because he's one of the intellectual capitals behind independent regulation with David Bernstein, and he wants a seat at the top table. The hypocrisy of his ownership of Salford, when you've got a billionaire owner in there that's funding Salford, that to my mind are losing money left, right and centre, that probably breach financial fair play, and all of this is being utilised by Gary to advance a soapbox wrapped in hypocrisy. Why has it got to this point where football club owners are trying to behave in this fashion? Because of the greed across the board in football and hypocrisy embodied by people like Gary Neville.
Okay, cool. So I think with this kind of thing, Simon Jordan's on at 10 a.m, by the way, this morning. With this kind of thing, there's a lot of finger pointing in all sorts of different directions. Is an independent regulator the way forward, Ali? Because in terms of trying to stop that kind of greed getting out of control, is this a good step in that?
I think the government will have to come in, like, Henry was speaking to earlier on. Listen, I don't know the legalities. I don't know enough about the legalities of the business side of it. But if Henry Winter's telling us that obviously that the government have said that they can and will get involved, then why are we messing about? Let's just go straight to the top. The government can sort it out. And so that this cannot happen again, and we're not because we will be faced with it further down the line. It's an absolute certainty that it will happen again. It'll rear its ugly head again. This, so if you have got an opportunity to put it to bed for good, then do it. And I think the best way to do that, or the strongest way to do that, would be with the aid of the government.
To be fair, Ali, the most important thing I was thinking about there was, I mean, did you get an invite to this WhatsApp group? Because I'm hearing this for the first time, so I'm still waiting. Mine must be pending.
Do you know what it is, Benty? It just shows you where you and I are on the pundit ladder. we are rungs well below, but we're climbing, mate. We're climbing.
I would actually be interested to see what Simon thinks about sorting it out as well, because I think also Simon will come at it from a former owner's perspective as well. So obviously you're going to have your different feelings about it, aren't you? You're not going to want to be regulated by anyone else if you feel it's your money being put in.
When you talk about people who run clubs and own clubs and money in football, I love listening to Simon because he knows obviously in depth what he's talking about, and I know some of the stuff he says I may not understand. But from obviously an owner's perspective, like, he'll know what's going on because he would have probably seen a lot of this happen before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree, but I don't think he's always right. And
I'm not saying he's always right, but I still like to listen to it.
Yeah, of course.
No, but it'd be excellent also to get it from an owner's perspective as well, an owner's point of view. And he's right to a certain degree. You're not going to go and buy a club if you're not going to have a big say in it. Why would you?
But if you are going to buy a club and you want it to be part of a league that has certain rules, you have to adhere to those rules.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't be seen to just be able to buy a club and then create your own future for that club and destroy the pyramid that it came from, that made it a great club in the first place, which I think is the whole point of trying to put an independent regulator in place. I don't know what that would look like.
Would that stop people buying clubs then?
No, I don't think it would stop. Oh, as in, like, would it put them off?
Like a billionaire's coming over and going, well, if I can't really run the club how I
Of
want to
course
run
it
it,
would.
then why am I buying it for?
Listen, do you think the American owners would have bought their clubs in England if they didn't have an opportunity to see profit at the end of it?
Yeah.
The answer would be no, in my opinion.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You can come at this kind of argument with lots of different ways, because you could say, actually, I want my club to be profitable, or I want my club to be successful, therefore I want a billionaire owner. But then that billionaire owner then decides that it doesn't want you to be a part of the Premier League, and it wants you to be a part of the European Super League. So there's loads of different ways of looking at this kind of thing. I think an interesting thing about having an independent regulator would be who they are, what powers they have, how much they can change the future, and what that would do to shape the future of football in this country as well. Because the biggest thing about this whole thing obviously is the pyramid, and to protect it and to make sure that it doesn't get affected in ways that if you remove 6 of the best clubs and the most profitable clubs in the league, that filters down, because that is what people lose in the essence of this, isn't it? Of what it does to the lower leagues, Darren.
It doesn't, and that is the most important thing, is the pyramid. I mean, some of the top level players came through the pyramid in terms of obviously on the ground, grassroots football, and worked their way up. So the fact that you're right, and maybe that this will work, because what you don't want is, as I said, an owner coming in and saying, right, I'm going to do things my way. I don't really care what's come before me. I'm in charge of this club now, and this is how I'm going to take the club forward. But at the end of the day, whoever owner comes in to buy any football club, they're in it because they want to make money.
Correct.
It's going to take the nicest person in the world. That's all they care about is, right, I'm going to buy a football club. I don't really care about making money. Do you know what I mean? You're never ever going to find that person. Them days are gone.
Is there too much football money in football anyway? Already, are we at that point now where there's too much money, which is why you have to go to, like Ali was saying, either the government or an independent regulator or something like that, because it's now seen as so profitable? That is the kind of ownership it's attracting.
I mean, to say there's too much money in football, okay, there's an argument for that, but we've kind of created that because we want more and more. Do you know what I mean? Because we want more football. We love it. And listen, I didn't agree with that Super League at all in terms of them taking it over there to make money. But as I said, we all want more and more football, so people are going to keep pumping more and more money into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's always going to be the issue, because that's why football keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because bigger and bigger. Because
You could say that too.
You take the Premier League, for instance. Obviously, it's the most high-profile league in the world, and everybody wants a part of it, whether it's TV rights from this country, other countries. So people will just keep throwing money at it.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.